Taking responsibility is the first and most important step to owning your life, because it shifts the power back into your hands. Many people go through life blaming circumstances, their past, or even other people for where they are. And as long as you continue to live in that mindset, you'll never truly have control over your future. Responsibility is not about guilt or shame. It's about recognizing that regardless of what has happened to you, the way forward depends on the choices you make today. The truth is, life will always hand you challenges, setbacks, and unexpected difficulties. But your growth begins the moment you stop pointing fingers and start saying, I am accountable for my life, and I have the power to change it. When you embrace responsibility, you stop waiting for someone else to rescue you or give you opportunities, and instead you create them. Think about it. Every successful person, every leader, every individual who turned their life around did it by first owning their choices. They didn't blame the government, their family, or the economy. Instead, they looked in the mirror and decided that their life was too important to be left in the hands of excuses. Taking responsibility doesn't mean you control everything that happens, but it does mean you control how you respond. You may not choose the pain, but you can choose the perspective. You may not control the struggle, but you can decide whether it makes you bitter or better. When you truly grasp that, you begin to see every challenge as an opportunity to grow, and every mistake as a stepping stone toward wisdom. The moment you take responsibility, you also take back your power. As long as you blame others, you're handing over control to them. You're saying, my life is the result of what they did. But when you take responsibility, you reclaim your authority. You're no longer a victim of circumstance. You're the author of your own story. That shift in mindset is life-changing. Imagine how different your life could be if you stopped waiting for the perfect situation, the right partner, or the right timing, and instead acted on the belief that you are enough and you can begin where you are. That is what responsibility does. It empowers you to stop delaying and start creating. Owning responsibility also forces you to look at your habits and decisions honestly. If you're not where you want to be, chances are it's not because of one giant failure, but rather the small daily choices you've made over time. Responsibility means asking yourself, what role have I played in where I am right now? That question is powerful because it makes you confront the truth without sugarcoating it. Maybe you've wasted too much time scrolling on your phone. Maybe you've avoided difficult conversations. Maybe you've settled for comfort instead of pushing yourself toward growth. Taking responsibility doesn't mean beating yourself up for those things. It means recognizing them, learning from them, and making better choices moving forward. Another important part of responsibility is emotional ownership. Too often, people let their emotions control their day, letting anger, jealousy, or fear dictate their actions. But when you own your emotions, you stop being a puppet of feelings and start becoming a master of your mindset. Instead of saying, they made me angry, you realize I chose to respond with anger. That small shift changes everything because it reminds you that you have the ability to choose a better response. That's where self-discipline and emotional intelligence come in. When you hold yourself accountable for how you feel and how you act, you stop being dragged around by negativity and start building resilience. Taking responsibility also sets you apart as a leader, because people naturally follow those who own their decisions instead of running from them. Leaders are not people who never fail. Leaders are people who admit when they do, take responsibility, and find a way to move forward. That quality earns respect because it shows strength of character. When you blame others, you may escape temporary criticism, but you lose trust. When you take ownership, you might face the consequences, but you also build credibility. And credibility is the foundation of influence. Sometimes responsibility feels heavy, but that weight is actually what strengthens you. Imagine someone in the gym lifting weights. The heavier the load, the stronger they become over time. Responsibility is the same. At first, it may feel uncomfortable to admit your role in your failures or to carry the burden of your choices. But the more you do it, the stronger, wiser, and more capable you become. You develop confidence because you know you're not at the mercy of luck or chance. You're shaping your own destiny. In the end, responsibility is freedom. It may sound ironic, but it's true. When you stop blaming and start owning, you're no longer stuck waiting for external change. You realize that the power to transform your life lies in your own hands. You are free to create, free to grow, and free to rise above your circumstances. That's why taking responsibility is the first step to true freedom, because it liberates you from the mindset of a victim and gives you the strength of a victor. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it, because once you decide to own your life, nothing and no one can own you. Stop waiting for permission and start acting now, because the truth is, life is not going to hand you a perfect moment to begin. Too many people waste years of their lives waiting for validation, waiting for the approval of family, friends, bosses, or even society before they dare to chase their dreams. They think they need someone to say, "Yes, you're good enough," or "Yes, it's your time," but that day rarely comes. If you keep waiting for permission, you will wait forever, and your potential will die in the shadows of hesitation. The reality is, no one else can decide your destiny for you. No one else is living your life. You are the only one responsible for where you go and who you become. Think about how much time is lost because people wait. They wait for the right partner before they start living fully. They wait for more money before they try a business idea. They wait for confidence before they step on stage, but waiting only leads to more waiting. The truth is, confidence comes after action, not before it. Success comes after effort, not after someone gives you a guarantee. The people who accomplish great things in life are not the ones who waited until everything was perfect. They are the ones who took a step even when they were unsure, even when others doubted them, even when fear was whispering in their ear. Action is the cure to fear. Boldness is the answer to doubt. When you stop waiting for permission, you stop giving other people power over your life. How many dreams have been buried because someone's parents said it wasn't realistic, or a teacher said they weren't talented enough, or society said that dream wasn't practical? If those voices had the final word, many of the world's greatest innovators, artists, and leaders would never have risen. Imagine if Thomas Edison had waited for permission to invent the light bulb, or if Oprah Winfrey had waited for someone to tell her she was worthy of success, or if Steve Jobs had waited for the world to be ready for the iPhone. They didn't wait, they acted. They trusted their vision more than the doubts of others. Waiting is often disguised as preparation. People tell themselves, "I'm not ready yet. I need more experience, more resources, more time." But preparation without execution is procrastination in disguise. You don't need to have everything figured out to begin. The truth is, you'll learn far more by taking one step forward than by sitting still trying to plan every detail. Life is a teacher, but only for those who are willing to move. Starting now, even with uncertainty, gives you momentum, and momentum is what creates breakthroughs. Another reason people wait is fear of judgment. They worry about what others will think if they fail, if they look foolish, or if their dreams don't work out. But here's the truth. People will judge you no matter what you do. If you stay small and safe, they'll judge you for not reaching your potential. If you try and fail, they'll judge you for failing. So why not do what sets your soul on fire and live life on your terms? At least then you'll be judged for something that matters to you, not for playing it safe in a life you never wanted. Acting now doesn't mean being reckless. It means being courageous. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's moving forward despite fear. When you take that first step, even if your voice shakes and your hands tremble, you prove to yourself that fear doesn't control you. And the more steps you take, the more fear loses its grip. Every action builds confidence, and every small victory builds momentum until what once seemed impossible becomes natural. The world doesn't reward hesitation. It rewards action takers. Opportunities don't wait for those who hesitate. They pass by quickly and are seized by those who are willing to leap. How many times have you looked back and said, "I wish I had started sooner"? That regret is heavier than failure. Failure teaches you lessons, but regret keeps you stuck in what could have been. You can recover from failure, but you can never recover lost time. That's why acting now is not just important, it's urgent. It's also important to realize that permission is an illusion. You are already allowed to chase your dream. You are already allowed to start that business, write that book, record that video, or pursue that career. No one has the authority to give you permission to live fully except you. The question is, will you give yourself that permission today? Will you stop waiting for a sign and decide that your desire to grow is reason enough to begin? When you finally stop waiting, you experience freedom. You no longer need to live according to someone else's timeline or expectations. You're free to explore, to create, to fail, and to rise again. That freedom is where true success begins, because success is not about pleasing everyone. It's about becoming the best version of yourself. And that journey starts the moment you act without waiting for anyone to tell you it's okay. So stop holding back, stop delaying, stop waiting for everything to line up perfectly, because it never will. The stars will not arrange themselves in your favor until you decide to move. Your time is now, and every day you wait is a day you cannot get back. Life is short, and the clock is ticking whether you act or not. The only difference is whether you spend that time waiting for permission or using it to create the life you truly want. Turning your struggles into your strongest lessons is one of the most powerful ways to grow, because life will never be free of challenges. Every single person faces hardships, setbacks, and failures, but what separates those who rise from those who fall is how they interpret and use those struggles. Struggle can either break you or build you, depending on the mindset you bring to it. When you begin to see struggle as a teacher instead of an enemy, you start transforming pain into progress and setbacks into stepping stones. The very things that once seemed like obstacles can become the foundation of your strength. Every great story of success carries a history of struggle. Think about the athletes, entrepreneurs, leaders, and visionaries you admire. None of them reached greatness without first walking through difficulty. Struggle develops resilience, and resilience is the ability to keep going when most people quit. Without struggle, there is no resilience, and without resilience, there is no strength of character. Struggles teach you patience when results don't come quickly, persistence when the road feels long, and humility when life humbles your pride. They refine you like fire refines gold. The mistake many people make is believing that struggle is a sign they are on the wrong path. In reality, struggle is usually proof that you're growing, stretching, and moving beyond your comfort zone. If your life feels too easy, it probably means you're not pushing yourself hard enough. Struggle means you're being challenged, and challenge means you're building capacity. Just like muscles grow stronger through resistance in the gym, your spirit and character grow stronger through the resistance of life. Without that resistance, you remain weak, untested, and unprepared for greater opportunities. What makes struggle so powerful is not just what it teaches you about life, but what it reveals about yourself. In difficult times, you discover your hidden strength, your untapped creativity, and your true resilience. You learn how much you can endure, how much you can adapt, and how much you're capable of when pushed to your limits. Struggle strips away the unnecessary and reveals the core of who you really are. It shows you what matters most and forces you to let go of what doesn't. You may not realize it in the middle of the storm, but afterward you look back and see that the struggle was shaping you into a stronger, wiser version of yourself. Another lesson struggle teaches is perspective. When you've gone through hard times, you begin to appreciate the good times more deeply. You value relationships, opportunities, and simple joys that you once took for granted. Struggle humbles you, and that humility allows you to live with gratitude. Gratitude, in turn, fuels happiness and resilience. The person who has suffered deeply and yet still finds reasons to be grateful becomes nearly unstoppable, because their strength no longer depends on perfect circumstances. Turning struggles into lessons also requires responsibility and reflection. Many people go through hardships but never grow from them because they refuse to ask, "What can I learn from this?" Instead, they focus on blame, bitterness, and self-pity. Growth doesn't come from the struggle itself. It comes from the reflection you do afterward. It comes from asking, what did this experience teach me? How can I use this pain to make me wiser? How can I let this difficulty fuel me instead of drain me? Those questions turn suffering into strength. Your struggles can also become your greatest source of inspiration for others. People are not inspired by perfection. They're inspired by your scars. They're moved when they see someone who went through the fire and still came out stronger. The struggles you face today may be the very story that encourages someone else tomorrow. Your pain can become your purpose if you choose to use it that way. When you rise above hardship, you give others permission to believe they can too. It's important to remember that struggle is temporary, but the lessons are permanent. The pain may fade, the season may pass, but the wisdom you gain will serve you for a lifetime. Every time you conquer a challenge, you add a layer of strength to your character. And the next time life tests you, you'll be stronger, more prepared, and more resilient because of what you've already endured. That's why struggle should never be wasted. If you're going to go through it, make sure you grow through it. Instead of asking, "Why me?" start asking, "What now?" Instead of saying, "This is too much for me," remind yourself, "This is preparing me for something bigger." When you change your mindset about struggle, you stop resisting it and start embracing it as part of your journey. You realize that every setback is a setup for a comeback, and every challenge carries the seed of growth. Life's difficulties are not barriers to your destiny. They are bridges that lead you to it. So don't curse your struggles. Don't run from them or wish them away. Face them, learn from them, and allow them to shape you into someone greater than you were yesterday. The struggle you are facing right now may be the very thing that equips you for your greatest opportunity ahead. When you turn your struggles into lessons, nothing is wasted and everything has meaning. That is how you transform hardship into hope, weakness into strength, and trials into triumph. Building daily habits that shape your future is one of the most powerful actions you can take to own your life. Your destiny is not written in the big moments, but in the small, consistent actions you repeat every day. Success is not a product of luck or chance. It's a result of discipline, structure, and the commitment to habits that align with your goal. Every single day, you are either building the future you desire or drifting toward a future you will regret, and the difference comes down to your habits. When people think of success, they often imagine the breakthroughs, the awards, the big promotions, the life-changing opportunities. But what they fail to see are the countless hours of discipline, sacrifice, and routine that built the foundation for those breakthroughs. A successful athlete didn't just wake up ready to perform on game day. They trained for years through repetitive drills, strict diets, and consistent practice. A thriving entrepreneur didn't just stumble upon success. They built daily habits of learning, networking, strategizing, and executing even when they felt tired or discouraged. Habits are the invisible architecture of success, and without them, no dream can be sustained. Your habits determine your identity. The person you become is a reflection of the actions you repeat. If you constantly engage in habits of procrastination, distraction, and laziness, you become someone who falls short of their potential. On the other hand, if you build habits of focus, discipline, and growth, you become someone who creates opportunities instead of waiting for them. Your identity is not fixed. It is shaped daily by the choices you make. Each small habit is a vote for the type of person you are becoming. One of the most important truths about habits is that small, consistent actions compound over time. Reading just 10 pages of a book a day may not seem like much, but over a year it becomes over 600 pages, enough to finish 15 to 20 books. Saving a small amount of money regularly may feel insignificant, but over time it builds wealth and security. Exercising for 30 minutes a day may not produce instant transformation, but over months and years it reshapes your health and energy. Just as bad habits compound into failure and regret, good habits compound into growth and achievement. Building habits also requires intentionality. You can't simply hope for better habits. You must design your environment and routine to support them. If your goal is to eat healthier, remove junk food from your house and stock up on nutritious options. If your goal is to read more, keep a book by your bed or in your bag instead of scrolling on your phone. If your goal is to be more focused, set boundaries around your work time and eliminate distractions. Your environment often shapes your habits more than your willpower, so be intentional about creating an environment that makes the right choices easy and the wrong choices hard. It's also crucial to start small. Many people fail to build habits because they try to overhaul their entire life in one day. They commit to waking up at 5 a.m., going to the gym for 2 hours, reading a book, meditating, and working 10 hours straight, all at once. Within a week, they burn out and quit. The key to lasting habits is starting small but staying consistent. A 5-minute workout is better than none. Reading one page is better than scrolling endlessly. The goal is not perfection, it's consistency. Small habits done daily create momentum, and momentum builds transformation. Another truth about habits is that discipline eventually becomes automatic. At first, new habits feel difficult and unnatural because your brain resists change. But over time, as you repeat the behavior, it becomes automatic. Think about brushing your teeth. You don't need motivation to do it because it has become ingrained. That's the power of habits. Once established, they carry you forward without constant effort. Success becomes less about motivation and more about structure, because your habits drive your actions even when you don't feel like it. Bad habits are just as powerful, but they lead you in the opposite direction. Watching hours of television every night, eating junk food daily, or wasting time on social media may feel harmless in the moment, but over time they erode your potential. The dangerous thing about bad habits is that their consequences are often delayed. You don't feel the damage immediately, but months and years later, You see the result in your health, your finances, and your missed opportunities. That's why it's so important to evaluate your daily habits honestly. Ask yourself, are my habits shaping me into the person I want to be, or are they sabotaging my future? Building empowering habits also requires patience. Transformation doesn't happen overnight, and that's okay. The results may take weeks or months to show, but trust that every small step is building a stronger foundation. The oak tree doesn't grow in a day. It grows slowly, consistently, and powerfully over time. The same is true for your habits. If you stay committed, the results will come, and when they do, they will be lasting. Ultimately, building daily habits is about ownership. It's about realizing that your future is not determined by one big decision, but by the thousands of small decisions you make each day. Every morning you wake up, you have a choice to take actions that align with your goals or to drift through the day without intention. The habits you choose define the life you will live. When you take ownership of those habits, you take ownership of your future. So don't underestimate the power of your daily routines. Don't dismiss the small steps as unimportant. Success is not about doing extraordinary things once. It's about doing ordinary things consistently. If you build the right habits and stay committed, your future will take care of itself. Your habits today are writing the story of your tomorrow, so choose wisely, act consistently, and let discipline shape the life you truly want. Silencing doubt and strengthening your inner voice is essential if you want to own your life, because the loudest enemy you will ever face is not the critic outside, but the one inside your own mind. Doubt whispers that you're not good enough, that you'll fail if you try, that you don't have what it takes. If you allow that voice to control you, it will paralyze you before you even begin. It will convince you to settle for less than your potential, to play small, and to live safely within the boundaries of fear. But the truth is, doubt is not a prophecy. It's just a voice, and you have the power to silence it by strengthening the voice within you that says, "Yes, I can." Every great achiever has faced doubt, both from within and from others. Some of the most successful people in history were told they weren't talented enough, smart enough, or capable enough. Walt Disney was told he lacked creativity. Oprah Winfrey was told she wasn't fit for television. Thomas Edison was told he wasn't intelligent. If they had believed those doubts, the world would have never experienced their genius. The lesson here is clear. Doubt is inevitable, but surrendering to it is optional. What matters is which voice you choose to believe, the voice of limitation or the voice of possibility. Silencing doubt doesn't mean it disappears forever. Doubt is like background noise. It will always be there in some form. But you can train your mind to turn down the volume of doubt and amplify the volume of belief. This starts with self-awareness. Pay attention to the words you tell yourself daily. If your inner dialogue is filled with negativity, "I'm not ready," "I'll never succeed," "I always fail," then you're programming yourself for defeat. To overcome doubt, you must reprogram that inner dialogue with affirmations of strength and possibility. Replace "I can't" with "I will learn." Replace "I'm not ready" with "I am preparing." Replace "What if I fail" with "What if I succeed." Your inner voice grows stronger with evidence. Every time you take action despite doubt, you build confidence. Confidence is not built by waiting until you feel ready. It's built by doing what scares you and proving to yourself that you're capable. Think of confidence as a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Every small victory, every step forward, every challenge overcome becomes evidence that your inner voice of belief is telling the truth. Over time, this evidence becomes unshakable confidence, and the voice of doubt loses its grip. Another powerful way to silence doubt is by changing your environment. If you surround yourself with people who constantly feed negativity and discourage your dreams, your doubts will grow louder. But if you surround yourself with people who believe in you, support you, and challenge you to rise higher, your inner voice of belief will gain strength. Energy is contagious. Choose carefully the voices you allow around you, because they either fuel your doubt or fuel your confidence. Silencing doubt also requires action. Doubt thrives in hesitation. The longer you wait, the more doubt grows. But when you act quickly, even in small ways, you cut off doubt before it gains momentum. Action starves doubt of its power. For example, if you doubt whether you can write a book, start by writing 1 page. If you doubt whether you can run a business, start by making 1 phone call. Action breaks the spell of doubt and replaces fear with progress. One of the deepest truths about doubt is that it usually comes disguised as protection. Your mind tells you, don't try, don't risk, don't step out, because it wants to protect you from failure, rejection, or pain. But that protection comes at the cost of your potential. Growth requires risk. Progress requires stepping into the unknown. If you allow doubt to protect you, it will also imprison you. You must be willing to say, I would rather try and fail than live trapped by doubt and regret. Another strategy to strengthen your inner voice is to focus on your past victories. Think about the challenges you've already overcome, the obstacles you thought would break you but didn't, the moments you pushed through fear and succeeded. Those experiences are proof that you are stronger than you think. Remind yourself of those victories when doubt tries to convince you otherwise. Your past resilience is the foundation of your future confidence. Faith also plays a role in silencing doubt. Whether it's faith in God, faith in yourself, or faith in the process, believing in something greater than your fear gives you courage. Faith is the bridge between where you are and where you want to go. It allows you to step forward even when you don't see the whole path. Doubt says, what if I can't? Faith says, I will figure it out. The more you lean into faith, the weaker doubt becomes. At the end of the day, silencing doubt and strengthening your inner voice is about choice. You may not control every thought that enters your mind, but you control which thoughts you feed. Feed doubt, and it grows louder. Feed belief, and it becomes unstoppable. Every day, you have the power to choose which voice will lead your life. Your inner voice is your compass. When it's strong, it guides you through storms, setbacks, and uncertainty. When it's weak, you become easily lost in fear and indecision. That's why strengthening it is not optional, it's essential. Build it with positive affirmations, fuel it with action, reinforce it with supportive environments, and protect it with faith. When you do, doubt will still knock on your door, but it won't control your life. The world doesn't need another person paralyzed by fear and insecurity. It needs someone bold enough to rise above doubt and live fully. That someone can be you if you choose to silence the lies of limitation and strengthen the truth of your inner voice. Designing the life you want, not the life you settle for, is one of the most important decisions you will ever make, because far too many people drift through life instead of directing it. They allow circumstances, society, and other people's opinions to dictate their path, and as a result, they end up living a life that doesn't truly belong to them. Settling is easy. Anyone can fall into the trap of comfort, routine, and mediocrity. But designing your life takes courage, intention, and vision. It means refusing to accept less than what you are capable of, and instead building a future that excites you, challenges you, and fulfills you. When you design your life, you take the role of an architect. You don't just hope that life will turn out well. You create a blueprint for what you want it to look like. That means getting clear on your values, your goals, and your vision. Too many people skip this step and wonder why they feel lost or unfulfilled. If you don't define what success looks like for you, someone else will define it for you, and chances are their version won't satisfy your soul. Designing your life starts with asking deep questions. What do I truly want? What kind of person do I want to become? What legacy do I want to leave? Settling often comes from fear. People fear failure, so they choose the safe path. They fear judgment, so they live to please others. They fear uncertainty, so they cling to what is familiar even if it makes them miserable. But here's the truth: settling is not safe. It's the slowest form of failure. It's waking up every day with a quiet dissatisfaction, knowing you could have done more but chose not to. Designing your life is about breaking free from that fear and realizing that the risk of living unfulfilled is far greater than the risk of chasing your dream. The process of designing your life begins with clarity. Without clarity, you drift. With clarity, you focus. Sit down and write out the kind of life you want in vivid detail. What does your ideal day look like? What work excites you? What relationships energize you? Where do you live? How do you feel about yourself? Clarity turns vague wishes into specific targets. Once you have a target, you can build habits, routines, and actions that move you closer to it. Designing your life also means being intentional about your time. Time is the most valuable resource you have, and yet it's often wasted on distractions and obligations that don't serve your vision. If you don't prioritize your time, someone else will use it for their agenda. Start saying no to things that don't align with your goals and yes to the things that move you toward your vision. Every yes should be a step toward the life you're designing, not the life you're settling for. Another key part of designing your life is surrounding yourself with the right environment. Your environment includes the people you interact with, the spaces you occupy, and the influences you allow into your mind. If you're around people who constantly complain, criticize, or discourage you, it's hard to build the life you want. But if you surround yourself with people who inspire you, challenge you, and support your growth, designing your life becomes much easier. Your environment can either pull you down or lift you higher, so choose it wisely. It's also important to remember that designing your life doesn't mean everything will go according to plan. Life is unpredictable, and challenges will come. But when you've designed your life with intention, even setbacks won't derail you. Instead of being knocked off course permanently, you adjust your strategy while keeping your vision intact. Flexibility is part of the design. Just like an architect modifies blueprints when unexpected obstacles arise, you too can adapt without losing sight of the bigger picture. Settling often feels comfortable in the moment, but it leads to long-term regret. Designing your life may feel uncomfortable at first because it requires effort, sacrifice, and stepping into the unknown. But the reward is living with passion, purpose, and fulfillment. Think about the difference between someone who wakes up dreading the day because they're stuck in a job they hate and someone who wakes up excited because they're living in alignment with their vision. That difference doesn't come from luck. It comes from intentional design. Another important part of designing your life is aligning your actions with your values. If you say family is important, but spend all your time working without being present, you're settling. If you say health matters but neglect your body daily, you're settling. If you say freedom is your goal but never take steps toward financial independence, you're settling. Designing your life requires honesty, looking at where you are and asking if your actions truly reflect your values. If they don't, it's time to realign. Your life is too precious to live by default. Settling is like sleepwalking through existence, waiting for the weekend, waiting for retirement, waiting for a chance that never comes. Designing your life is about waking up, taking control, and creating meaning in the present moment. It's realizing that you don't have to wait for permission. You don't have to wait for the perfect timing. You can start shaping your future today with the choices you make. In the end, designing the life you want is an act of ownership. It's saying, this is my life, and I refuse to waste it on mediocrity. It's about courage, clarity, and consistency. courage to break free from settling, clarity to define your vision, and consistency to take daily steps toward it. Settling may give you temporary comfort, but designing gives you lasting fulfillment. The life you want is possible, but only if you choose to design it deliberately instead of settling for what's easy.